Good evening, everybody. Kevin Crouch here from the Storm Desk, and we are going to talk about the storms that are headed here tomorrow. We're stuck in this Omega Block pattern here, and of course, we've talked about that where you have one low, right? That's terrible. You have one low right over here, kind of in the four corners. Why can't I draw L's tonight? And then one there. So you got one low there, and then we're kind of just in the middle, and we just keep getting these storm systems that are coming in. And of course, we got one that's headed out. We got another that's headed our way tomorrow. So I feel like I'm drawing football plays or something. X here, go for the touchdown. That's what we're looking at, and we, of course, had our storms today. Didn't have any severe weather, but it was loud, brought a lot of hail to parts of Ellis and Hill counties, and then I think Navarro County got some too. Daphne, thank you so much for the very generous Venmo donation. Greatly appreciated there. And we will zoom into our particular area here. Nothing going on right now. Fair bit of severe weather, though, for West Texas from the Panhandle over into parts of New Mexico. And then just north of the Rio Grande there as well. And then, of course, the storms that were in our area. Let's see. I need to get I keep going back and forth with this because I want my cursor to show during this kind of thing. But then I do not want it when I'm doing live severe weather coverage, so I keep going back and forth. Josh Kliss, 36 dive right, nice. And, if you were watching, I talk about them a lot, but if you were watching, if there's any Arlington Renegades fans here, are you scared? I'm scared. Because they played so sloppy last Friday, and oh, man. The Michigan Panthers just absolutely blew DC away. So I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I'm fairly nervous about that. So if you're an Arlington Renegades fan with me, then we can all just be nervous together. But storm-wise, I don't think we have to be too nervous about the storms tomorrow. There's my segue. But we do have a few things to watch. So I want to show you the HR, that high-resolution rapid refresh model for tomorrow. And, of course, there you have what we have tonight, kind of exaggerating what we have left in our area, but, HR does that sometimes. So overnight tonight, we're going to see this nice little band of chaos over in West Texas there. And let me just check something. Because okay. All right. So the thing is, I keep calling the wrong part of Texas the big country. I don't know why. But clearly the state government class I had that talked about the regions of Texas for like 90% of that class and almost none about actual Texas government, failed me. So, West Texas, Vicky Beasley, yes, Dwayne Johnson owns part of the UFL, and so he owns part of all of the teams. The funny thing is that there's a AP Perkins, who is kind of the hype man for the Arlington Renegades. He's kind of the announcer, that kind of thing. He has a jersey on the back that says The Pebble because he looks a lot like The Rock. It's really funny. Anyway, guys, I get distracted easily when it's something I'm excited about. So, but this is midnight tonight. So we're going to see those storms continue to develop out west, West Texas. And then as we go forward here, we're going to see those spread northeastward. Now, as far as when to expect severe weather in our area, we will see these storms spreading in tomorrow morning. So unfortunately, that's 8 a.m. A couple of things I want to say here. First, unfortunately, you will need to give yourself a little extra time in the morning to get to school, get to work, wherever, because we could have areas of heavy rain going on that could very well delay that. If you're going to school, especially dropping the kids off, that parents that normally have their kids just walk or ride to school, a lot of the time they're going to take them themselves. And not only does that add traffic to that drop-off line, sometimes they're not as familiar with, the process. So number one, be patient, be nice to people, but also understand that, that might cause some delays. So you need to give yourself a little extra time. So this is putting some pink in these storms at 8 a.m. I don't know that we will see that at that time. My microphone is really dusty. I don't know that we're going to see that during that time. And so we may be able to avoid some of the severe weather that early on. Now, you notice down in the hill country here, just outside Austin, it's got all that black there. I think this is a little bit exaggerated. Now, let's get to 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and noon. This is when I'm expecting to see a little more severe weather in our area. But there's something that I've noticed about this run as well. You notice back to the west, there's not a whole lot going on. It looks to me, honestly, with this run, like we may be done a little earlier than expected. So that's noon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock. Now, here's the thing. This shows this little line kind of developing, and HR has done a phenomenal job of showing us, in fact, the last round of severe storms we had that little line that kind of developed and went through, it kind of developed to the west and down through, Johnson Hill, parts of Ellis County, western Navarro County down that way, and then continued on towards, College Station in that area. So the HR model did a phenomenal job of pinpointing where that was going to be. So this is showing this little line from Ellis County down towards Killeen. And I do think that that's possible. And that could be, this is 3 o'clock. This is daytime heating, peak daytime heating, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. So I think it's very likely that we could see some storms, strong to severe storms at that point. Now, this shows a couple of things. So let me kind of back up and so that's 3, 4, 5 o'clock. So this shows most of the activity moving east of us. Now, it does show some off to the west of Fort Worth. And so, now it also shows at 9, 10 o'clock, this one kind of random storm going through. HR has done a decent job of showing that too. There are many times where I'll ignore those kind of late random storm pop-ups like this, but more often than not, HR turned out to be right when it said, hey, watch for this last little kind of, storm here. And so we could have a break in the evening hours, and then, just like this is showing, we'll have to watch tomorrow night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, for possibly another storm or two. It doesn't show it lasting long, but could be something. Now, as we get into 1 a.m., this is when the flood watch that will be in effect tomorrow ends. So it is pretty well in accordance with the forecast guidance that, hey, rain should be wrapping up by that time. And then, we get to 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, everything is down on the coast. And so, to kind of go back to this, that's 10 a.m., 11, 12, 1. 1 o'clock, this is when things look to be more organized. So I'm basically looking at our main kind of window for severe weather being 1 to 5 o'clock right now. And again, that's peak heating. That's not to say we can't have a strong to maybe marginally severe storm earlier in the morning. I just think that we'll have a better chance later in the day. But this is showing, 8 a.m. It does show several thunderstorms, and this will be our first big round. Now, here's something else to consider. This is 3 a.m. This shows more storms coming in, kind of a leading band coming together here. You see that? Kind of this line kind of developing, this broken line. If we can get more of that, through early in the morning, then we have around 7, 8, 9, we have a round come through. It's almost like it shows 3 rounds here. There's 1, there's 2, and then there's 3. So if we get more of that activity through here, that could kind of help to stabilize the atmosphere some, keep us from warming up too much. It looks like we may not get out of the 60s tomorrow. So there are different factors that could help us out. The other piece of the puzzle here, the reason you're noticing more severe weather down south, you notice that? That's because that's where, and even, south of Waco, those storms look more intense than what's up north. The warm front will be making its way northward. And if you're north of that warm front, you'll see less severe weather. If you're south of it, you'll see more. And it's been looking like maybe that warm front will stay south of our area. In fact, I'm going to take a look and see. Yeah, so I'm looking at the Weather Prediction Center's kind of graphics right now, and yeah, it shows it, for the most part, south of us. So that will be another defining factor. If it's farther north, we have a better chance of getting a few severe storms. And all modes of severe weather will be possible. Large hail, damaging winds, a few tornadoes, and obviously, we have that flood watch that goes into effect at 7 a.m. and continues through 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. So it's not a slam dunk at this point. It kind of depends. I know you hate to hear that. Kind of depends on where we can expect the warm front to be, where we can expect storms to kind of start out, and how much activity do we get during the morning hours tomorrow. Will we see more activity that will kind of help to wear the atmosphere out a little bit before we warm up at the end of the day, or in the peak heating of the day, from 3 to 5 o'clock. So just several kind of factors that will be worth watching tomorrow. So just stay tuned to South Metro Weather. I'll keep you informed on what we're possibly going to see. This is probably going to be a long night. I mean, it's 9 o'clock right now, and not entirely too sure. Let me see. I need to keep an eye on. Okay. All right. So there was a tornado watch issued, but it's way out here, stretching from the hill country over into, it's basically right here where you see the severe thunderstorm warnings out there. Yeah. Basically from near San Antonio on up to about Carlsbad. So, not our area. But I mean that, as that whole thing shifts east overnight, that could change. So we will continue to watch this overnight. And again, that's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So if we're going to have severe weather, I think that the afternoon is the period of time I'm most concerned about. Let me look at so that's what I'm going to be the most concerned about our area. But it may be close. I may be watching that warm front going, where is it going to go? Where is it going to sit? Eventually that warm front will get pushed. Well, cooler air will push in and kind of, dry air will filter in and push all of this out. So, that warm front eventually will be kind of irrelevant once that drier air filters in. But with that said, we'll still have to watch. Now, I will say that I should have posted the drought monitor map on Thursday because it looks a lot better for our area. So the rain has helped, and the rain, is always welcome. The more rain we can get in May ahead of the summer season, hey, I'm all for it. So that's something to consider as well. Let me get into some questions here. Drive in from Malakoff at 3 a.m. What does we look like between 3 and 5? So that 3 a.m. drive is, it's, we're looking at showers and thunderstorms, Shalina, but I don't expect it to be anything too major there. Team Payne, will there be any action in Oklahoma? It looks, I believe the majority of this is staying south of Oklahoma, but honestly, I haven't looked. We cover North Texas between Dallas and Waco, basically, so haven't really seen too much of what's going on. Liberty, you're asking, is it going to rain, and when will the rain stop? So it is going to rain. We'll get a break from the rain in the evening hours, but we could have another shot of maybe a few storms, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now, and then Wednesday looks dry. Taylor, this is PM. Okay, this is afternoon. This is afternoon that we're looking at. So, Michelle Payne, some no severe weather early in the morning. It doesn't look, I can't rule it out that there might be a few stronger storms in the morning, but I'm mostly concerned about severe weather in the late afternoon, mid to late afternoon hours, 2 to 5 o'clock, basically. Julianne, just joining. Is it going to thunderstorm at 10 a.m.? Looks like it could thunderstorm. And again, okay, hold. Everybody slow down. We'll go over the timing again. I know there's a lot of people that just jumped in and you're really, really antsy. So I've noticed that there's a lot of people that, they'll jump in and it's just immediately, you ask the question. We'll always try to go back over it. So give me a little patience, and then we'll review that for you. So, okay. I don't know how to do it. Like, it's tough to kind of judge when to do a recap because all through the live there's people jumping in. So, I'm gonna go back through it again, and if you see anybody else in the chat that says, "Hey, I just jumped in. What time?" Just say, "Hey, hang on." And of course, the great part is too that whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, this is always posted later. So if you miss something, you can always go back and watch from the beginning and catch it that way. So we'll kind of go back over this and let's see. So really, we get a break overnight, and then by about 3 a.m. This is 3 a.m. We will see showers and maybe a few thunderstorms popping up in our area. I don't expect anything intense with that. I think 3 to 7 a.m. is basically just rain, just kind of passing through. And then as we get to 7, 8 a.m., that's when we'll probably see some of the heavier stuff moving in. Widespread showers and thunderstorms. Could be a few stronger storms, but I'm not really expecting anything too intense at this point. I'm not thinking that we're going to see anything severe at that point. If we do, it'll be marginal. Small hail, gusty winds, that kind of thing. But I'm not really expecting anything too terribly impressive at that time. Now, as we go forward, that's 10 a.m., 11, 12 noon, 1 o'clock. So when we get to 1 o'clock, I think we will see we'll see a more organized, round of storms coming in, and then 2, 3 o'clock. I think that this, between 1 and 5 p.m. is when I'm expecting the probably the highest likelihood of severe weather to occur. Sorry, I just hit the mic. All modes of severe weather will be possible. Large hail, damaging winds, possibly a few tornadoes. And as I mentioned, we have that flood watch in place between 7 a.m. tomorrow and 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. And that is just covering, you've seen multiple rounds of rain possible. So those areas, especially those flood-prone areas, if you get multiple downpours, then you could very well see some flooding issues. Now, Jessica, hopefully that answers your question. Bo, hopefully that answers everybody's question here. Let's see. And Candy, yes, tornadoes are possible tomorrow, but as I was explaining a few minutes ago, here's kind of that zoomed in look at 3 o'clock. But as I was explaining, what kind of severe weather we see will largely depend on where the warm front is. As far north or south as that is, will determine kind of what to expect where. Additionally, as I mentioned, we get to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's kind of moving out. And then it shows this little storm just kind of passing through. Not that we hadn't had enough of those, random little storms coming through, just making a statement at 9, 10 o'clock. There's been so many times that I have just totally discounted when it shows a random storm like that, and it comes true. So, tomorrow night I'll be watching. We may have a little straggler kind of sneak through. So, but yeah, 1 to 5 o'clock tomorrow is when I'm going to be watching the closest for severe weather. We could get to tomorrow morning and this could be completely different. The other factor that may change this, and this is something that I've noticed more and more of you are catching on to as we discuss it, but we could be looking at an increased or a decreased severe weather threat if we get more showers and thunderstorms through earlier in the day. So if we get more activity that moves through, let me just kind of move back to 3 o'clock there. So that's 3 o'clock tomorrow for anybody that's watching there. But if we get more activity through earlier in the day, that could help limit the severe weather threat later in the day, because it wears out the atmosphere, makes it harder for the atmosphere to recover, to have more instability, for those afternoon storms. So there's different factors that could affect our threat tomorrow. For right now, the Storm Prediction Center still has us in a slight risk. Let me get that pulled up for you here, and I'll take the radar off so it's easier to see. Yellow everywhere. But this is what we have. So, and with the low pressure system right here, basically it's saying, storms are possible anywhere through here, kind of wrapping around this way. But, they have us in this slight risk. I think, now I was nearly dead on last time I kind of was guessing on where the enhanced risk was going to be. If I had to guess, they're going to have an enhanced risk from Brownwood to Waco to Palestine south. That's where I think they're going to put the enhanced risk. It may be as far north as Stephenville, Hillsborough, Corsicana, like here. More, I guess, what is that, Comanche there? Yeah. Could be more Comanche, Hillsborough, Corsicana, maybe? Jacksonville? But I think it will be the farthest north they'll put that enhanced risk is probably Corsicana, Hillsborough. I'd be surprised if they put it as far north as Waxahachie, Cleburne. Now, that said, the slight risk went from really, I think it was really around or south of Corsicana, Hillsborough, and they bumped that all the way up to McKinney and Denton. So I may be wrong. They may bump it farther north, but it really depends on where they expect that warm front to go. So tomorrow morning, we'll probably have that enhanced risk in place. That'll give us maybe a better idea of what the Storm Prediction Center is seeing, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So that's what we're looking at for tomorrow. Just to kind of recap here, for everybody that might have just joined in, I know there's always people jumping in halfway through going, yo, I missed everything. So here's how things look, and I'll kind of do this a little more zoomed in so you can see your town. Reagan Spurlock, yeah, I'll do I'll put together a kind of a written something tonight to put out there. So there we go. Okay, that's 11 o'clock. So this is 5 a.m. And by 3 to 5 a.m., we'll see a kind of a first round of showers and thunderstorms moving through. And then by 7, 8 a.m., and really when you zoom into this, we may have kind of a line here, but it really shows it kind of losing organization as it moves in. But, 7, 8, 9 a.m., I don't know that we'll have a lot of severe weather at this point. I think it's going to be more just strong storms. As I said earlier, I do advise taking a little extra time, getting to school and work in the morning. Might be kind of a rough drive. Might be pretty stormy out there. So just, keep that in mind too as we're going through. I'll probably have the alarm set for 5 a.m. I really don't expect to see much of anything prior to that point. But 7, 8, 9 a.m. looks like we could have a wave of strong storms blow through. If we do get severe, it'll be marginally severe, I think. And then as we go forward, that's 9 a.m., 10, 11. So kind of like today, just, off and on showers and thunderstorms coming through. Might be a few loud ones. Now, as we get to 1 o'clock, oh, that's the 0-1. That's why I ran out of, okay. That makes sense. So I'll discuss that shortly because that kind of introduces a new deal here. So let me zoom that out a little bit here. So 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12, and then 1. So what I want to show you is you notice there's kind of possibly a more organized situation here. So I think, again, 1 to 5 o'clock is going to be our best chance for seeing any kind of severe weather. So that's 1 o'clock, 2, 3. And then you see kind of this small line kind of forming here. So I think that is possible. HR model's done a pretty good job of showing that recently. And then 4 to 5 o'clock. So by 5 o'clock, probably moving out. And then it shows at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow night, shows this random little storm going through. And as I said before, the number of times that I have discounted stuff like this, where it just kind of throws a random storm in there at a point in time, the HR model has proven to be right several times with that, even after I said, I'm going to ignore that because it looks just so out of place. HR model's proven me wrong. So I'm going to give a low chance of maybe a passing storm tomorrow night. Now, Here's the 01Z model, the 9 p.m. HR model that just ran. So, oh, come on. Okay. So here's something new for all the folks that are watching right now. Here's what we have for this is a shorter run, so it's not going to take us all the way through. But what's interesting is this is the latest run. So this is more recent than the one we just went through. This one has a little line. And this is probably, let's see, Chelsea Adams, Skylar Tobias. Is that I don't know who that is. Who's Skylar Tobias? Storm Chaser? I don't know who that is. But Chelsea Adams says Skylar Tobias saying strong storm 7 to 9 a.m. So he's probably, whoever that is probably seeing this right here. He's seeing this little complex. And it's possible. This is better defined than what the 12Z showed. So I would say let's kind of consider this as a possibility that there could be kind of a little line out west of us by 7 a.m. So 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, that's probably what he's looking at is this most recent HR run that kind of brings this little complex of strong storms through at that time. So again, taking the kids to school and trying to get to work, give some extra time. Because it looks like the HR is honing in on maybe a little kind of complex, little line blowing through around that point, followed by just, off and on scattered thunderstorms like today. And then as we get to 1, 2 o'clock, that's 1 and it runs out at 2. But, on the back side of it, kind of a more organized round of stronger storms as we get that daytime heating going. So that kind of sums that up. And again, if you missed any of this, so Mason Simmons, if you're just joining in going, hey, I missed everything, this will be posted on YouTube and Facebook. YouTube is better quality. But if you don't let Mark hear that, if you want to kind of go back and watch, hey, you'll have the whole thing will be posted at that time. It'll be posted immediately following this, so you can watch it at whatever time you choose to. Any questions that I can answer about the weather, about anything decent? Just kind of a side note here, because I hyperfixate on things and you people signed up for this, so you got to listen to me talk. I don't know if anybody is in, any kind of voice work, anything like that. So Casting Call Club, I just signed up for that and, or just signed up on their website. That is where you can do voice work. So, obviously I use my voice on a daily basis and, would love to explore, doing some more voice work. So, that's just something that I would be interested in trying to get into, and I'd love to see what other projects I can lend my voice to. John Manuel, did y'all discuss the long, loud, constant rumble like being next to a train, but with great ear protection around 7:50 p.m.? That is extremely specific, and I love it. Yeah, so John, that was a test of a Raptor. It was a Raptor engine that was being tested by SpaceX over in McGregor, Texas. So my wife told me that we have dear friends in Waco, Italy, and SpaceX has a facility just outside of Waco where they test some of those engines. And so that long rumble was them testing that engine around between 7:45 and 7:50 p.m. So that's what that was. That was that long rumble that you heard. And so that's kind of what we heard. We didn't hear it in Waxahachie, at least not that I know of. The thing is, though, in Waxahachie, back when there was the explosion in West, that fertilizer plant exploded. My wife heard and felt the shockwave. I didn't even notice it. Sometimes at the end of my day, I'm so out of it. I'm just not even aware. So, but yeah, so that's sound. If you are in parts of our area and you heard that long rumble going on earlier tonight, right around 7:45, 7:50, that was the testing of a SpaceX engine down in at the facility near McGregor, Texas. So going back to some questions. Debbie Perry, late joining. Will the early morning or commute time storms be severe, especially wind? So, Debbie, strong storms, marginally severe as possible. I can't rule out that one or two storms will try to show off. But the real concern for severe weather is between 1 and 5 o'clock. But as far as, the morning, there could be a complex of some strong storms coming in. So there could be some strong winds at that time, but doesn't look especially severe at that time. Land Dog Mineral Wells, what's the time for a strong storm roughly in the morning? Again, pretty similar to our area. So Mineral Wells, you're a little farther north than what we were looking at, but you're kind of out of my area, but I'll cover, it's on the map. So, it looks like you'll probably miss the stronger storms in the morning, but 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, just some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Could be a stronger storm in there, but probably not a whole lot. And LB Lion, a Lake Tawakoni. So I want to look at something before I say that. Yeah, so that, okay, I was double checking a position on the map because I wanted to kind of see, especially where it is relative to, okay, so yeah, storms are possible. Again, Lake Tawakoni in the morning, but probably not, less likely to be severe because you're farther north. Lucy MCD, what modes of severe weather are possible? Yes, it's any mode of severe weather is possible during that time. And Colin Shastine, I am using Radar Omega. Radar Omega is a great program. I love it. It makes my workflow so much easier because there are different subscription levels that you can subscribe to, and I use Radar Omega I use the Alpha subscription, which is the top tier subscription, but it gives me the satellite, gives me models, gives me everything. So everything is in one spot. That's what I like about it for me. Makes my workflow so much easier. Some models, I got to go over to, whether it's Pivotal Weather or something like that. But for the most part, I like it. Lloyd, you're asking about Glen Heights storms. So what I would tell you is you can, to go through the whole, spiel, you can go back and watch once this is posted and you'll be able to see the whole thing. But generally, showers and thunderstorms possible in the morning. Best chance for severe weather is going to be from 1 to 5 o'clock. So that's kind of just how that works. So really storms all day. But if you're talking about severe weather, that's going to be more focused in the afternoon hours. So, Mike, you're asking all modes of weather possible. What is your confidence on any particularly higher possibility? Hail, wind, and the dreaded tornado. So, hail and wind is going to be our primary concerns. This is a pretty standard deal at this point. Tornadoes will be possible. A lot of that tornado risk, like I said, is really going to depend on where that warm front is tomorrow morning. But even then, the tornado risk is pretty low end. So, primary concerns will be damaging winds, large hail, with the strongest storms. A tornado or two is possible, but I'm not expecting like a tornado outbreak or anything like that. So that's kind of my best read on that. Not sure about that. Google doesn't show they tested a rocket today. I think people are assuming it was SpaceX. They were testing a rocket last week. So, Jesse, I was watching a live stream earlier tonight where they brought in the Raptor engine and were testing it at that McGregor facility. So, they may not be testing the whole... It wasn't a launch necessarily. They didn't launch the full rocket. This was... They brought in... the video even showed it. Where... And I'll let's see if I can go find that. Do, 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 do. Yep. All right, here we go. Man, they're still showing it. Yeah, so it shows one test at 7:44. So here is the YouTube video that I was watching. So yeah, I mean this is the and if you go back to that time, you can see where it actually shows the. I mean, you can hear it too. Where it shows the test of the engine. But I mean, the video, if you go a little before that, you can even see them bringing it in on the truck. It was pretty detailed, but you can see them bring in the engine on the truck, and then you can actually watch the test. So it was a test tonight. It wasn't a full rocket launch. It was literally just the engine. And they kind of lay it down. It was a horizontal test. So they lay the engine down, and you can actually see the heat and exhaust coming out the back. You can't see the whole thing, but it's kind of from a distance, but you can see it from that direction. Yeah, so it's about 1 hour. Well, it's hard to say because it's live, but the screen is largely orange when they're doing it, I guess because of the sunset. But yeah, so that's that video. If you go back and watch that, you'll be able to find where that test was. So it wasn't a whole rocket launch. Again, it was just they brought the engine in and tested the engine specifically. The actual launches are closer to Brownsville, I believe. So, Mike, I just posted that link there. Let me post that again. It's a long, long, long video, like hours and hours long. So you'll have to kind of find the right spot. But it is a short period of time in there where you can actually see it. John, will you be doing live coverage in the morning? I probably. It depends on the intensity. So the thing is that kind of my policy here at South Metro Weather, and I've been doing this for a long time, is I reserve I reserve live coverage either for legit severe weather, or if it's a storm. I mean, if it's like this and it's something that is. If it's loud enough and I've got enough people that are going, what in the heck is that? Then, if it's a storm that's going to get people's attention and going to have people concerned, I'll usually make the decision to go ahead and do live coverage. But usually I try to reserve it for severe weather. And the reason for that, I got a lot of feedback early on in this operation where people essentially wanted me to treat live coverage, live streams here like you would breaking into a Cowboy game, that kind of thing, breaking in on a network television show. So that's how people wanted it. If I'm live, they want me to be live when something's going on. If it's not worth urgent attention, they don't necessarily want me to be live. So that's kind of the way that they've done that. So that's yeah. I just I try to reserve it for specific situations. Otherwise, I'm just posting on the Facebook and X accounts. Those are where I have the most periodic, every half hour or so, but little updates, But when it comes to live coverage, it's either, if there's something coming the next morning or the next day, I try to do a briefing like this the night before. That way you can plan ahead for your day. And then when it comes to live covering storms, it's when there's strong or severe storms going through, and it's important to have that that live coverage. Landdog, what free weather apps would you recommend to use, particularly with future models if possible? Okay, here we go. All right. You have successfully brought out the models soapbox here. So what I'm going to tell you about using weather models is They're free to everybody. I mean, you can go to, Pivotal Weather and, pivotalweather.com. You can use, Radar Omega. They're available to anybody. But the thing is, you kind of have to know what you're looking at, and you kind of have to know how to handle these models. Every weather model is going to have its quirks. Every weather model is going to have its personality. For example, if we use the GFS model alone to predict hurricanes and hurricane season, we would expect to have 50 hurricanes a year. I mean, it's just wild sometimes on how that works. The HR model, you can expect usually for it to be a little bit exaggerated in terms of what it shows intensity to be with storms. So you have to kind of learn some of the quirks and kind of expectations of what to look at in these models before you use them, because you're looking at 4 different models all saying different things. You don't know how to take that. So you can get weather models, whether through Radar Omega or pivotalweather.com, but it's more than just, running it and going, oh, here's what's going to happen, which that's what the Weather Channel does, right? With their future radar or whatever. They just kind of throw a model at you and go, here's what's going to happen. And it takes so much more discernment than that. So yes, they're out there, but just, before you start taking one model or another as gospel, I use the HR model because it's number one for the shorter range models. Lately, at least, it's been doing a pretty good job. It's also the highest resolution. So when it comes to a short-term thing like this, I mean, when it's right before it's going to happen, I'm usually using HR because it's the best, coverage. But you notice when I'm showing it to you, I'll say, hey, sometimes this model tends to be a little off on this or a little off on that. So I can kind of give you the context around it. Brady, tornado watch in Kerrville. How high is the tornado risk there? Well, I mean, if they're under a tornado watch, I mean, I would say that, they need to be definitely paying attention. So they're going to be kind of in the southern edge of that watch. So yeah, I mean, there's a threat of tornadoes there. It doesn't look like there's a storm in that area right now. And frankly, let's go back here. Yeah, so it just looks like, midnight to 3 a.m. looks like, they could be looking at severe weather out that area. So, I mean, storms that develop there could be capable of producing tornadoes. What I'm going to post in the chat here is weather call. And so send this to your cousin, because this service, it's only $15 a year. And my voice will call them and say, hey, you're under a tornado warning. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning. If it's a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch, they're just going to get an email or a text message, so it's not that urgent. But if they are under a tornado warning, if they don't want to have to stay up, 3, 4, 5 a.m. when this stuff's going through, sign up, put the number in your phone. You can request a test call when you sign up, and, they can, and it doesn't just work in my area. It works everywhere in the country. So that will give them the opportunity to go to bed, get their rest, and, they're only going to get a phone call if they're under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. So you leave the ringer on, hey, you're informed. You're gonna be covered for that severe weather event. So I didn't plug that earlier, but this was a good example of a time to do that, because it's going to be overnight. It's going to be between 12 and 4 a.m. When storms are most prevalent in that area. So, you're welcome. I'm glad I could, pass that along to somebody that might use it. And it's $15 a year. I mean, that's just a little over $1 a month. That is nothing when it comes to that kind of peace of mind. So definitely get that over to them and let me know if they, decide to do that, because this is the prime opportunity, because like I say, from, midnight to 5 a.m. is when they're most prominent in that area. At least that's when they're going to see most of those storms. And, nobody wants to have to stay up that late. So that way they can be informed. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. If you missed the whole, kit and caboodle here, all the details, go back and watch this. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube. Again, like I said, the best quality is on YouTube. But don't tell Mark Zuckerberg because he'll get really upset. But you can watch YouTube and that kind of thing. It'll be out there to watch this whole thing over again if you missed something. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. That'll allow me to make a quick text post before I go to bed. And like I mentioned, I just signed up on Casting Call Club, so hopefully going to be getting into some voice work soon. Don't worry, I won't be, the South Metro weather won't be eclipsed by something else. I'm always going to be doing this, but I will be definitely looking into some voice acting possibilities. Can you post the weather call info on YouTube, please? I'm not seeing it. Yeah, Mike, I can definitely do that. Let's see. Let me do that. Let me do that before I sign off because I won't remember. You know what? Let me do this. I'm going to post it as a... so if you follow on YouTube... What I'll do is you'll see it. It'll be a post, a text post, and here. Okay, Mike, that is on the channel. So if you go to the channel, look at the community. I think it's the community tab, the post there. Then that's where you'll see the graphic. It's a big hook echo, storm. It's the one that's on the background of the logo. When you see that on promotional, materials and stuff. So yeah, you'll see that. So that's the, and the link is there. Just click on the link. That'll take you where to go. Brenda Henderson, can you show a 5-day forecast? If you go to southmetroweather.com, or the Facebook page, then that's going to be where you can see the 7-day forecast. I don't have that immediately in front of me, but that's where you can follow. Of course, we post that in the mornings, but yeah, go to our Facebook page or go to southmetroweather.com. You can see the latest forecast there. We'll have another one tomorrow morning posted out there. Hopefully the morning storms don't preclude that, because sometimes I've got so much going on, it's hard to get the 7-day out there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So what I'll tell you, Brenda, just quickly, is that really the rest of the week, storms are possible. The best chance will be tomorrow. Wednesday at this point looks dry, and then late Wednesday, Thursday, more storms possible, more on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday look great. Mother's Day looks awesome. So that's just a quick run through, Brenda, but otherwise you can go to southmetroweather.com and see the 5-day forecast there, or the 7-day forecast there. And if you join our Patreon, you get the 7-day forecast sent to your email every morning. Can't beat that. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have more on this, of course, later tonight and tomorrow morning. And so stay tuned. South Metro Weather. More storms are on the way.